I'm ready.
I'm gonna pretend to be ready.
Oh, I just like popped every shorter me.
What?
I just popped the shorty.
Shorty?
Popped all short 'em.
What?
I'm eating.
You're actually making less sense as you go on. Yay!
Hey, you have a fabricator.
I do. Okay.
You're gonna fabricate that shit?
What?
I have a generator. That's
Okay.
not important.
Cool. I have a generator. It's not hooked up. We haven't bothered yet.
Oh,
It would have been nice to have done so, because we've
We
been
did
without
miss it.
power a few times, and
really?
we just like have a generator in our garage, and then we have the wire that it's like you're supposed to like all we have to do is attach the little plug that you plug into the generator. Everything else is done, and we just don't because we're lazy.
I mean,
So we just sit there in the fucking dark instead of having a generator. Like, we already own the generator.
Most people are like, it'd be nice to have a generator. You're just like, oh, but I have to work with it a little bit.
Alright,
but
game.
Okay, alright, the game. Okay, fabricators are unimportant for the moment, because I'm going to talk about something else first. The first and most important thing I did between last devlog and this devlog is I fixed... You can see the game's already been open for like a full minute while we've been babbling on about nothing. I fixed that crash. It was related to garbage collection, like I suspected. I don't know if I actually said that on the video or not, but that was my suspicion. And it was, and so I learned something that day and fixed it. So now you can actually have the game open. Pro tip? Yeah.
Never trust automatic garbage collection. Like,
Or just know how it works, and then you can trust it,
Yeah.
which was what was going on.
I
never trust it to work 100% of the time though, because like I've never seen an automated garbage collection that like always gets it.
Oh, this gets more than everything. That was the issue. And so you just want to make sure it doesn't get what you don't want it to get. So anyway, I fixed that, and that's actually not the most important thing I did. I mean, it is kind of, because if that was in a shipped game, like, you wouldn't be able to play.
Was it just like double deleting pointers?
No, it was okay, technobabble time. If you don't have something in Unreal marked for their reflection system, it doesn't know that it's supposed to stick around. So if you just have like your own kind of class that you want to actually maintain existence, and I forget exactly which class it was that I was using this way, but basically you just have to make sure that they're like marked for their reflection system, or it'll go away.
That makes sense.
Okay, end of technobabble. Until later. That's actually true. But most of what I've actually been doing in January was porting the rest of the game, or at least the Planet View part, over to the new version that I was talking about then. So you can say I got a mine and fabricator, which I'm pretty sure is all I had then either. Or at least that's all that I had active. So I think the HUD was already there, but I ported over placing a mine, and the mine actually works. It picks up resources and all that. I've ported over the fabricator. I haven't done skeletal meshes yet, actually, which is not that hard. I just haven't bothered yet. And you can click on it and all that, and I'll get to that menu in a second. It's new and it's fun. But basically, after I got done porting that, which was like only like a week ago, I decided I'd had enough. I got fed up with our UI. The way that we approach UI for every project we've ever done since the beginning of our existence has been, let's throw together the menu last second. It doesn't need to be good. It just needs to be there. And that's how we've done pretty much everything. Like, even back when we were just modding Gmod and stuff, is we've always just had a slap together menu, and it's never been approached with the design of menu first. It's never been like, okay, the menu needs to be perfect and easy to make. And so before, in order to communicate with the game, we didn't have any kind of automated way to like package everything into like a nice neat little object to send to the game or back to the UI to JavaScript. And again, like, this is a little bit of technobabble stuff, but like, I don't know, maybe you're interested. It is a devlog after all. But so we never had a way to easily send data back and forth. It was always like you had to kind of manually condense it into a string and then send it over and then manually extract what you need from it. And you have to do that both ways, which is completely silly. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, Unreal has a built-in JSON library. Like, you can, I guess they call it serialize and deserialize, which is, some people will argue that's not the correct terminology, but that's what they use. And of course JavaScript is, like, JSON is literally just a JavaScript object, pretty much. So I implemented a system that is significantly more like Ajax. Anybody who's worked with sort of front-end web dev will know what that is. Basically, the UI makes a request to the game, and then the game acts as the server would in a typical web application, and then just sends back data. So instead of doing what we were doing before, which is kind of manually determining on the game side of things, like, when do I have to send things to the UI, now the UI just requests it, and then the game can send basically as much data as you need, because it's not actually a server-client relationship here. It's really just two different, they're not even really different processes, but it's just sending it back and forth between these sort of environments, and it doesn't take any actual time. Like I'm in that mindset actually where I'm like, I don't want to send too much data and things like, but not like, it doesn't actually matter. It's instantaneous. It may as well just be there. So we can actually send as much data as we feel like between the HUD and the game, and mostly it's from the game to the HUD. But so let me show you one thing I did, which I'm kind of proud of, and it's not anything particularly like crazy. Like somebody who's not into development is gonna be like, you're an idiot. Why are you showing me this? But I'll just show you because I'm proud of it, and it's a thing I did. So enjoy. This is how we initially had to handle JSON. This is even with what I just was talking about. Initially, we basically had to completely manually, this is C++, we had to manually like make a whole bunch of like t-shared pointers and just all this garbage just to get, and this is like this is the simplest thing in the world. All this does is take an array of strings and append me C++ and send it back so that it can be printed in JavaScript. This is literally just to see if it's working. And this amount of code, and this amount of like, you have to know all of this, which means effectively each time we needed to do any kind of communication between the UI and the game, you pretty much have to go find where you've done it before and copy paste, because I'm not about to like memorize all of this garbage, because like, for reference, you really never use this stuff anymore. It used to be in UE4 C++, like, this stuff used to be common, but they changed a lot of it, so it's not anymore. You just use normal pointers, and like, it's a lot better. It's a lot more concise. But this stuff is still like for the kind of more esoteric things you need to do, you still do need to use them. And so this is like I'm not used to this. So instead of having to do that, I just wrote a little bit of a wrapper around it. And so now this is how we handle a communication between the UI and the game. Is we just basically pass a complete packaged JSON object into whatever function, whatever method is handling the request from the UI. And so this is effectively the same thing that you just saw over here, and it's significantly shorter, and it's also a lot easier to read. There's no t-shared pointers and all that garbage. It's just like you just create a simple object, and and you can just create a normal array like you would any other place in C++, and add to it, and then just broadcast it back out to JavaScript. So again, that's a little bit of techno-babble stuff that you know, not everybody probably is interested in that, but it's a thing that I did, and I'm kind of proud of it because it makes communicating between the UI and the game so much easier. It's actually not even funny. And one thing I did with this, and I just got done with that, I think I just did that yesterday, after working with like the old system for a couple days. I didn't like it at all. So just yesterday I did that, and then I used it to create this, yeah, I'll just look that another one, sure. Create this new Fabricator menu. And it's got a nice little animation. It's just jQuery's UI stuff. But yeah, I created this new menu. You can drag it around. That's nothing really important. You can also resize it. But it basically requests the production options, which currently there's only a plate because I haven't implemented the rest. But normally, yeah, you'd have all the production options, and it just requests this directly from the game, and then the game sends back a big array of like, here's everything you can do. And this is still using the old menu system. I do need to sort of catch this up, but for now, you know, it works. Whatever. This is still the same as it's ever been. You can sort by density and whatever, and see if we have the most of, and then you can make a plate. And this text is not in the right spot, and I had to go somewhere today, and I didn't finish putting this in the right spot, but it's in, you know, you can see that it does work anyway, and that's all I needed it to do, actually. So I'll finish that up when I get a chance. But okay, and one other thing that I'll talk about is for the longest time, at least in the new one and even in the old one, this was a kind of a problem. We could never really figure out a good way to do UI clicking versus clicking in the game world, because they're kind of completely separate entities. You know, the UI is the UI, the game world is the game world,
yeah,
and they both have handlers for clicking. So how do you make it not? How do you make it not click? If I click on this X and I position it right over a Fabricator, before it would reopen a menu immediately because it would click on the X and it would click in the game world. But now, and if this doesn't work, I'm gonna just die. Okay, so you can see it doesn't actually click in the game world because right now what we're doing is we're passing all of the click data through the UI first, and then the UI can say, yeah, you're good to go, click in the game world, so that's why I can click on it now that there's nothing in front of me.
Yeah, I was looking, I noticed that before. And I was
yeah,
like,
it's been a problem. It's been a problem for a long time, even in the old version. I never got around to fixing it. It was a way over convoluted system that we were using, and then didn't work obviously before. But now we're passing everything, and the benefit is, if you're familiar with JavaScript and jQuery and all that, you can basically just put like event.stopPropagation. And what that does is, well, exactly what it says. It stops it from propagating down the tree. So like, I keep clicking on Fabricator when I want to click on an instance of a Fabricator. Okay, like for example, I have this gray sort of background, and I've set this menu up to be sort of a singleton menu. Like at the moment, you can't open another config menu for a Fabricator. Maybe that'll change, maybe it won't. But as it stands, this is the only one. So if you click over here in the gray, it closes it automatically. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. But if you click on the actual window, like to drag it or something, or you click on plate, it won't close it, even though this gray thing is behind this window. Well, that's just because of JavaScript's event propagation. Like, basically, if you click on here, I make it stop, so it doesn't get all the way back here to actually trigger that event. Well, I basically built the exact same system. I integrated it right into this in terms of the game world. So basically, on any UI element, if your click calls that method, if it stops the propagation, it won't go to the game world. So as it stands right now, in the back end of the UI, it's kind of funny to say back end of the UI, but this little top bar, population, happiness, food supply, is a separate element. And how we're doing separate elements is we actually have an entire big window drawn over the entire screen to contain all of the elements of that element. if that makes any sense. Same for down here, actually. So this has an entire window. It's just invisible. You can't see it. But you can click on it, and we simply don't call that method, and so you can click right through the UI. And so up here, you should be able to click on it through that. Yeah, you can, because nothing is saying you can't. And I don't think I actually did it on this. Yeah, I didn't. So you can do that. See, that's an example of where we have to actually implement that method. So down here, I didn't implement it on this little button, so you can actually click right through it. And it'll still open the menu, and also select Fabricator.
Well, that's a good way of showing like what it used to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and just for those of you who are going like, but if you can't see it, why can you click on it? Well, I don't know. It doesn't account for it. It just goes like, there's an element here, even if it's underneath everything else, and goes like, I guess you want to open this because your mouse is on it and you click.
Let me see if I can show you. There is a really cool thing that didn't work in the old version, but it does work now. If you, for reference, I don't think you guys know this, if you're working on the UI, and you have an editor window open, and I recommend going into your editor preferences and ticking the little, like untick conserve CPU when it's not in the foreground or something like that, so it actually stays. And then if you go in your web browser to localhost port 7777, it'll be a CEF remote debugging. And basically it turns your browser into effectively, if you inspect element in Chrome, it does that except in-game. So you can actually see I'm like hovering over. Let me see if I can get this like, so you can see it in here. So I'm hovering over, if I can, there we go. So there we go. So you can see this full page container. I believe this is for the top elements. Yeah. So you can hover over the top bar. You can see that. You can even change styles. Like I can change this to be
how I do a lot
red text, like right in Chrome, and it updates completely in real time in the HUD. So you can actually design a UI completely in-game and like tweak it in Chrome, and then just like copy that back over to the style sheet. And I've done that a couple times now. It is so nice. It's so nice for debugging. The one problem is the console doesn't seem to work. I really wish the JavaScript's like console.log would output to this, but it doesn't seem to, which is really unfortunate, but it's okay. Yeah, this is a super nice feature. It didn't work in the old version, but I fired it up, I tried it again. In this version, it does. So you can see what Titus was kind of talking about. Like, this is the full page container, which contains the top bar in there. And you can't see it because it has no background. It's just invisible. But you could still click on this if it actually had functionality. Okay, and that is all I've done. That's all I've done for the month. And I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something now that I'm going to regret like 2 weeks from now.
Uh-oh.
Next devlog, like in 1 month from now, expect a playable prototype of at least the planet view stuff. That means all the machines are in place, they all have menus, they all work. Population is at least somewhat a thing that you have to account for. Maybe not all of it will be there, but population will be a thing. Like, you'll have a game. By next month, you'll have a game that you can actually play. Expect that from me, and give me shit if I don't have it, if I don't produce that. And like I said, I'm going to regret this in 2 weeks from now, like halfway through the month. February is the shortest month, god damn it.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sticking to that. I've said it, and I'm going to do it. It's doable. It'll take work, but it's doable, and I intend to do it. Expect that from me next month.
Includes. Okay, so anyway, what I've been working on is basically this little... Hey. Anyway, what I've been working on is basically a sort of like prototype for the heat network that's going to be happening in the game. Oh, by the way, this is going to be technical, so if you don't like technical stuff, skip to Kill's part. I don't know if this is going to be technical. If it is, then you're screwed. Yeah, that's for the... Don't worry about that.
Mine's gonna be...
Doesn't matter. It's for threading. It's for threading. It's fine. Anyway, so, like I said, threading is, like, super easy to do. Like, you just do this and then have another, like, thing down here, and it's fine. It's totally fine. It just automatically, like, this is asynchronous. Why? I don't know. It just works. Anyway, so basically the general idea is I have a visualization because I made this for me, but it works for this. So whatever you place down a machine, ideally you would want it to be able to, if this has a really high heat, it should then affect this machine and make it hotter as well. These are just default temperatures that are set in this program, so it doesn't really mean anything, but this is just sort of a visualization of what the machines actually look like if they were actually placed in the game world, except with better graphics, because Excel is great. This is basically what I generate, which is just sort of a distance matrix. It shows like how far away each machine is from another machine. For example, like machine A away from machine A is just going to be 0 because it's the same thing. But like A and B are 9 blocks away. So effectively, there's a little bit of a calculation that goes into this. And so you calculate that entire thing, and then through that you sort of determine a nice little heat number deal to say how much it should actually affect something. So I'll go ahead and pull this up so you can sort of see. So basically this is just a constantly updating dealio. I'm going to slow this down. That was the wrong thing. I forgot to limit it by periods. So it'll take like 5 seconds in between each iteration, or should. So basically the general idea is here. Right now, D has basically, it's set up to produce heat. So the ambient temperature here is like 70 degrees, whatever. It doesn't really matter. This is here. All the details are just over here for reference. But basically, machine D here is producing about like 30-ish degrees of heat. So the general idea is then you can see like machine B, which is pretty close to D, is then being affected by that. Machine A, which is a bit farther away, is being affected less. Machine I is being affected even more. It's effectively like the same temperature. It's only a few degrees different because whatever. And if for whatever reason like I wanted to make another machine really hot, let's make, which one should I make hot? Does it matter? Does it matter? I don't think it matters. I'm gonna make F 50. So it'll take a second to update. So basically I just increased the amount of heat this is producing. And what that should do, you should see pretty quickly, like a couple of the other ones. H will probably start being affected, which it is. It just slowly starts to heat up over time. And you'll see some other ones. Maybe E. No. It's not hot enough to actually affect E. It's still too far away. So the general idea, though, and then if I just set these to 0, it should cool down over time. So it'll just 0 all of them there.
So that top grid you have in Excel is like where they are relative to each other locationally? Is that
yeah.
Supposed to
yeah.
represent? Okay.
Basically, I just created a like just a 2D grid and told it. Well, I didn't even do that really. I just said this is in position, like, for example, this is just in position 12, 0.
Yeah.
And I generated this randomly. It's technically like the default, the first values of like rand in C++. Between 0 and 20. It's just these just happen to be the first values that come up if you don't like set the seed. So whatever. But anyway, yeah. So I just generated this. This is automatically. I can actually even bring that up here, I think. Yeah. So this is that same distance matrix. This is what's being used to calculate the actual like amount of heat that should be transferred. There's another one. This is the sort of heat network. The numbers would say like how much heat should be transferred between the machines, but since they're all technically not producing heat, it's not going to be anything. But if I set D, I guess, to 40 again. So you'll see like some of the numbers start getting affected. This is just sort of it propagating to the system saying like, this is how much heat I should give to this machine. And this is just a multiplier.
So it gets affected over time, I assume?
As it gets, it's what's the word? Exponential, I guess, or inversely that, whatever. It's
logarithmic?
Not quite, but sort of, yeah. The general idea is like as it gets closer to the heat, it'll like taper off. It's kind of logarithmic, you can think of it that way, but it's not quite that. But yeah, so, and the same thing applies to distance. Like, that's, like, the farther away it gets, the less the heat actually affects it. Stuff really, really close gets affected a lot, and stuff really, really far away just doesn't matter at all. So if we look at...
Right, but, like, does your system calculate that over, like, subsequent updates? So, like, if something is producing, like, let's say a machine is right next to a machine that has 100 heat, is that machine that's next to that machine, like, instantly updated to what its temperature is going to balance out to, or is it, like, each iteration changes it a bit?
Each iteration changes it a bit until it reaches the temperature it needs to be. And you can, if I run this again, like, you can kind of see that. So all of these are whatever they are. You can see these cooling down over time, and the wait time's a little bit slower here, so it should update a little bit faster. But if I, for example, set A to, like, I don't know, we'll set it to 100, because whatever. It'll get really hot, and you'll see everything, like, this is going 10 iterations at a time, but you can still see, like, everything goes up, like, bit by bit to reach whatever their, like, equalized temperature is going to be. And you can see as things get hotter, they start to affect all of the other machines, so it's sort of just a chain reaction, because if they're hotter, obviously they affect machines even farther away because the range increases based on, like, how far heat is supposed to travel from machine to machine. So that's kind of the idea here. Because, like, J, for example, is just really, really far away from everything. H is really far away from everything. That's why you don't see them, like, actually updating. J and H are just super far away. F is kind of the same. You can see H is starting to warm up a little bit, but it's just, like, they're all so far away from everything that they just don't get affected that much. So, and this is a little bit misleading because it's rectangular. But, yeah, it doesn't really make a difference. So, as far as, like, how far away things look from each other, like, E and H don't look like they're that far away, but they're actually pretty far.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, so that's the general idea. The general idea, though, one of the things that I'm using here, most of this doesn't matter, but, like, you could just set, like, a general multiplier to affect scaling almost however you want to, for both of these. This one just affects, like, the actual, how much the range expands and retracts and stuff like that, based on, like, however much the heat is. This one affects, like, how fast the heat transfers from machine to machine. Or just generally, like, how fast heat increases in a machine, I guess, is sort of the idea. So, and right now, like, the heat decreasing just happens linearly. It just, like, subtracts an amount every single tick. That can be more complex later, but it didn't need to be for this prototype, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah, the general idea being, it's actually a fairly, like, simple system. You just kind of, like, call this, and it'll get, like, this sort of heat coefficient, which determines how much it should affect the heat. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting, and there's some, like, stuff to make sure that it, like, obviously it won't go, like, lower than ambient if it's not specifically, like, designed to do that. If we actually make some sort of like coolant or something like that, then we can do something to do with that. Yeah, but right now, like, obviously, if for whatever reason I was to set one of those machines to, like, heat production of, like, -30, it's still just going to be, like, ambient temps, because, I mean, that's, like, there's no reason for it to go under that. Just doesn't make sense. So, but yeah, it's a little bit interesting. So that's the general idea. This looks like garbage. I would explain this, but I don't think there's a point. So this is pointless. Don't use that. These break stuff. It's really bad. I was testing some things with this. This is, like, part of what was causing that stupid, like, weird error that I was getting. I don't even remember what it was. So it has to do with, like, the scope inside of a function. Like, it changes, and then, like, whenever you return it, it's like, this isn't the right scope, and I'm gonna break on you. Doesn't really make any sense. Oh, and one of the things I didn't mention was, like, it actually calculates the machine that is contributing the most heat. So one of the things here is, like, if you had a system of machines, for example, whichever one is the hottest and closest is obviously going to contribute more heat to that machine, and that's going to set the, like, the maximum heat that machine will ever get to. If you have, like, 6 machines around, like one major machine, and one of them is like 100 degrees, and the one in the middle is whatever, like that middle machine's never going to get over 100 degrees. Like, there's no reason for it to do that. So even if there's a bunch of machines around it, like contributing heat to it, like obviously it's not going to get hotter than the hottest machine. Is that physically
correct, though?
Yeah. If you have 2 machines, for example, right next to each other generating 100 degrees worth of heat, like they're not going to get like hotter than the amount of heat they're producing. There's no reason for that. Like, they'll heat up faster to whatever that maximum temperature is supposed to be, but they won't get hotter than that maximum temperature, because there's nothing generating that much more heat. Like otherwise it would just be like, put a hot thing next to a hot thing, and you just have the sun immediately, like, right in front of you, because it would just, like, increase recursively, which would be stupid. So, the general idea is, like, it would find this is the biggest... that's what this heat coefficient is it sort of determines, like, what is the most significant contribution of heat based on distance and whatever the actual heat of the machines are around it. And then it goes, all right, well, we'll take this and then use that in order to find what the maximum temperature of that machine should be. So, and that's how this entire thing just updates.
Alright, cool.
So yeah.
Very cool.
It should be pretty interesting, and this is simple enough that I think it could be pretty easily ported over into game UV4. Yes, UV4. This is obviously like disgusting real.
So long.
This has been like yeah, this is disgusting real C++ instead of like UV4 C++, which is probably better maybe.
It is better.
I don't know.
Not maybe. It's definitely better.
Oh, this is stupid. I want to gripe about this. This should be able to be written just like
Kill, what did you
equals blah the condition, right? Question M1 M2 else M2 M1. That should be able to happen, right? And this condition is just whatever this is, right? Simplifies into one singular line. Simple. This should be able to happen. It's a list of things. That's really simple to keep track of. Stupid. Absolutely stupid.
Yep.
Makes no sense whatsoever. It's so dumb.
Gripe is acknowledged.
It's so dumb. It's actually so dumb. I don't think there's anything else in here that's really that important. Yeah.
My microphone just actually fell over onto me. That's fun.
Yeah, no,
See.
yeah.
Stretched. It's like fat.
Okay then. Yeah. So we have old icons that we were using, and like here's an example of one of the old icons that we have. This is for a coil. I have all the icons that I've made with the comparison right now set up. That's what I was doing when I was waiting. So this is our old coil, and we're now moving to a more flat UI design style. And here's the new coil. This is not set in stone, but like this is more of like type of the design that we'll be going towards. So that's the coil.
I like how you picked like arguably the best icon from the old ones. Like coil looks good. Like the old coil.
Yeah.
Like that still looks good. Some of the others don't though.
Yeah. I mean
You really did pick the best looking one though to like demonstrate. Like look how much better this one is, and
It's kind of a different style.
It is. It's a different style.
Yeah.
And that looks. I still think that looks like one of those old
radiators, right?
Radiators.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
But
remove the tails. You gotta remove the tails, man. And then it'll be fine.
Oh, that's all you want me to do is remove the. I mean, I could do that.
The little dongles.
Easy
like
peasy.
on the
But regardless, I mean, I have them all. All right, so this is the old welding machine, and then we got the new welding machine, and I have all these scaled up to like 1,000 pixels right now, so because we have it set up so it's like vector images instead. Wait, whoops. Because it's vectors, it'll just scale, and since we're now using HTML for our menus and everything like that, we can save these as SVGs and have them scale nicely in the game as well if needed.
Yep.
Unreal UMG doesn't support it because they were saying how it's like a very resource hogging thing to have is to support SVGs. So.
But we don't care. We're gonna do it anyway in HTML. and fuck their gripes with performance.
If it makes the game break, we'll change it. But if it doesn't, then it stays.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right, so here I'll just keep going and showing. All right, this is the old like turbine module, and here's the new vector turbine module. This one's one of the ones I really like. I like it. It's
Yeah, that one is super crazy good.
uh
It's like the other ones are good, I guess, but it's like
yeah, they're
there's
all
really
right.
hard to know what those are.
Yeah, they're hard to recognize. They're hard to use, but that's so easily recognizable. Like even if like if you could scale that down to like 100 pixels or like even a little less, that's about the size you'd see that in most cases.
Whoops.
It's still gonna be recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
I know because I've seen it at smaller scales. He sent a couple of
Yeah,
slides.
there you go. That's 100 pixels.
Yeah, like you can still very easily tell that's a turbine. Whereas the other one, it's like
There.
all we even did was like I'm pretty sure some of them you did kill, and some of them I
Yeah.
did. I just opened up SketchUp and like made something that maybe kind of vaguely resembles what I would think it looks like.
Right.
And then we took a screenshot and like made it into an icon, but it's really just pixely and hard to see. Whereas these are they're nice. They're like and they're actual icons instead of just like
Yeah.
nothing. And the,
Of
yeah,
the thing.
instead of just a picture of it. But one of the other nice things is when you get to the entities one, like as you zoom out from a planet, you can actually like overlay the icons on top. Like overlaying the other ones would have been awkward, but like having an actual icon overlay, that could look really nice. Like Supreme Commander style you're talking, like
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
like when you zoom out and it just shows the icon for the thing.
Yeah. This is the vent. Vent's all right. This is the one I was just working on before we started recording, so I'm not quite sure if I like it yet. I don't know. So this is the old module housing. And here's the one that I was currently working. Huh? Oh, and here's where I was currently working on. Because
Yeah.
the idea is, you know, like it's module housing, it's meant to like go around it, so I just kind of went with the idea of like this is the side wall, the top wall, and those are the parts where it'll bolt in together.
Sure. Yeah.
And this is here just to continue with that previous statement. Here's it scaled down, so like it's still like 100 pixels, and it's still kind of like, and it's the shape, like everything is kind of like, you know, different. But
Yeah, the vent looks like really good when it's smaller.
yeah. This one's one of my favorites. This is the pliable gel. So like before, I think I remember making the little pliable gel when yeah, like I just like pulled up Photoshop, made a few little blobs, turned it 3D, made it bubble like. But so this is the new icon for it and it's just like real good, real recognizable that it's gel. Like
Toothpaste.
I know. that's what I kind of think too, but I think but it fits because I don't know, toothpaste is like a gel. But if it's so bad, I feel like removing this center wispy thingy would probably reduce its toothpaste effect.
Nah, keep it,
Yeah.
ship it.
But yeah, no,
This goes into the game.
but yeah, that's
I'm
the
joking.
I'm
Not joking.
I'm not. But yeah, this is the new design for the pliable gel. I'm gonna save the saw blade for last. Shaft, basically just took. Whoops. All right, whatever. Basically just took what we already had, which was like this tube with two tubes on the outside of it, and I just turned it vector. Boom, done with the shaft. Cause
Easy.
yep.
I was very impressed by his ability to not make that look like a penis, considering everything else he was sending me before that looked like a penis. Like
What?
maybe he'll show you one or something. But then it's like shaft. It's like, okay, he's just gonna like literally draw a dick in Photoshop and send it to me, and he actually did. And I was like, wow, I'm impressed.
Like,
Impressed.
good job. So let's see here. If I minimize this over here, minimize this. I think that's all of them except for the saw blade. Okay, so yeah, moving on to the saw blade. The saw blade is the first one I made, and it's probably the nicest, or my proudest one, I guess, is, so this is the old saw blade. And then
You have 3 favorites now.
they're all my favorites. Vectors are great.
They're all his babies. He can't choose.
Exactly. So this is the new saw blade.
That looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's not enough like Gmod saw blade.
Yeah, I know. I see the Gmod saw blade inspiration here, but here's the icon. But
The icon looks so good though.
yeah.
All of those icons look super good.
Yeah,
So
I think it'll look much nicer on
Toothpaste.
in the end game.
Toothpaste is staying. People are just gonna call it that. Like, you know, that's just gonna be the thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's just
yeah,
gonna be
need some
toothpaste.
toothpaste. I'm okay with that. I approve of that.
Yeah.
May as well just
It's gonna
rename it
happen,
now.
and we're
Just-
just,
just-
and everybody's
Alright,
just
this-
gonna say toothpaste. Why do people call it toothpaste? And then they're just gonna go like, the devs called this like before it ever even got released. Like the
Call
second
it
they made the
toothpaste.
icon, they were just like, this is gonna be toothpaste, and it was. And so it
And that's
was.
how it was from but yeah. As Blood already knows, my love for
Super edgy.
vectors is just look, it just scales. Anything doesn't matter. It's scalable, which makes it just great. Okay. So now the outro, right?
I guess.
Because that's basically all I was what I could show is all the vectors that
Any extremely ambitious promises for next month? So I'm not out in the middle of nowhere. Can I have a friend?
I'm gonna make $1 million.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
If you do, then I expect the next month after that is you make $1 million at least for Blood and I to split, right? Blood?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just keep it.
No.
I think I'll be a little less ambitious, and I'll just say I'm gonna get a Lamborghini.
Okay. For Blood and I to split.
How about an ambition for the project?
Nah, I don't know. Where's it going?
No ambitions. How about putting heat into the game? You think you can have that done in a month?
That'll probably happen. Yeah.
Probably. You and your qualifiers. Why can't you just
Hey.
make an affirmative statement?
Qualifiers
It
are
will
good.
happen. It will happen. Titus,
Probably,
say it.
yeah.
So repeat. No, not probably. Repeat after me. It will happen.
It will almost certainly happen.
No. You added more words in there. It. Repeat after me each word. It
It
will
will
happen.
probably happen.
Do the outro, Kill. I'm done with this. Done with this, boy.
Not a boy. I'm a man.
Okay. So the outro.
Toothpaste.
Let's see here. Okay. So, if you like our toothpaste, you should subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, like and follow us on Facebook, and if you really want to help us out and support us, because you like what we're doing here, you can become our patron on Patreon. We sometimes stream on Twitch. That was yep, that sometimes happens. Depends. Is there a new moon? But anyways,
If you do happen to follow us, you'll know when it happens.
yeah, if you follow us on Twitch, you'll see when we go live. Okay.
It's a rare treat.
And I still haven't the list we're greenlit, but I mean
Yeah, it's
greenlight.
okay. It's
But
old news. It's old news. No one gives a shit anymore.
okay.
I do.
They only care when it's on the store.
Yeah.
Tell them then.
Look at that. Blood. Look at that.
One take.
One
One take.
take.
Now you're just the best at it. Now you have to do it every single time.
Fucking
See you guys next month.